The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Monday, January 31st, 2022, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The journal of Sunday, January 30th, 2022 was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. Secretary will read.
Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8728 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7804. Third reading calendar 170. Senator Hinchey moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8758 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7818. Third reading calendar 182. Senator Mannion moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8710 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7847. Third reading calendar 203. Senator May moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8829 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7834. Third reading calendar 293. Senator Brooke moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8773 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7883. Third reading calendar 297. Senator Adabo moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8751 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7884. Third reading calendar 298. Senator Harkam moves to discharge from the Committee on Health. Assembly Bill number 8826 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7888. Third reading calendar 302. Senator Reichland Melnick moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules. Assembly Bill number 8746 is substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7889. Third reading calendar 303.
So ordered. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state officers. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Thank you, Madam President. On behalf of Senator Biaggi, on page 9, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 84, Senate Print 402A, and ask that said bill retain its place on third reading calendar.
The amendments have been received and will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
I now move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolutions 1776 and 1779.
All those in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exceptions of Resolutions 1776 and 1779, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now begin with previously adopted Resolution 1526 by Senator Kaplan? Read that resolution's title only and recognize Senator Kaplan.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 1526 by Senator Kaplan, commemorating the observance of International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27, 2022.
Senator Kaplan on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. As our community and our nation confronts an explosion of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic violence, it is more important than ever that we remember the history of Holocaust and vow to never forget the millions who were murdered in names of anti-Semitism and hatred. Each year, on the anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp, we observe International Holocaust Remembrance Day, not only to pause and remember the millions who were murdered by the Nazis, but also to reflect on our histories constructively, to ensure that it is not forgotten, and to ensure we've learned the lessons of the past. Unfortunately, studies show us we're not learning the lessons of the past, and we're failing to educate our children on what happened during the Holocaust. The facts are shocking. 58% of millennials in New York State can't name a single concentration camp. 19% believe that Jews caused the Holocaust. And 28% think that Holocaust is a myth or a story that has been exaggerated. We're failing our duty to keep the history of Holocaust alive, and we're failing the next generation of New Yorkers. So as we pause and remember those we've lost, and as we commemorate International Holocaust Remembrance Day, let's redouble our commitment to ensuring that the phrase "never forget" isn't just an empty gesture. Let's do more together to ensure that our young people are learning the history of Holocaust in our schools, so that we're not doomed to repeat history's greatest tragedy. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Mayer on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, and a special thank you to my colleague, Senator Anna Kaplan, for ensuring that we publicly observe International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27, 2022, and for her words about ensuring that our next generation of young people know the real criminal murder that occurred during the Holocaust and that it is not minimized or trivialized. And to that point, I must say that I've been greatly disappointed that during our intense debates in this nation during COVID over vaccines and masks, that the use of the word Holocaust has crept into the vocabulary. And it's been very offensive to me personally, but to the entire Jewish community. In fact, Max Sevilla, the president of government relations for the Anti-Defamation League, said that the U.S. is observing a trend of callous disregard for the facts, pointing to when leaders compare the push for vaccines to the Holocaust, which creates a narrative that unfortunately has serious consequences. It's accelerating a callous disregard for the impacted communities, the feelings of the Jewish people, but it also ratchets up tensions and has the consequence, the potential consequence, of leading to demonization and further anti-Semitism. And my colleague, Senator Kaplan, described that we are facing growing anti-Semitism, growing hatred across our country. Today is a day when we speak about this, that we should renew our efforts to recognize the International Holocaust Remembrance Day for what it is, and not to let the language of that incredibly terrible time enter into a disagreement about health care and behavior during a serious pandemic. I urge my colleagues, let us ensure that that word is not part of this discussion and that they criticize those who try to bring it in. Today, let us renew our commitment to remembering and teaching about the Holocaust in honor of this day. Thank you, Madam President.
The resolution was previously adopted on January 11th. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now move to Resolution 1776 by Senator Kavanaugh? Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Liu on the resolution.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 1776 by Senator Kavanaugh, commemorating the Asian American community's celebration of the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Tiger, on February 1st, 2022.
Senator Liu on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I speak on this resolution, which is very important and timely, I do want to reflect on the closing out of the previous lunar year, which ended yesterday, a year that ended with a spike in COVID-19 with the rise of Omicron, and unfortunately a corresponding rise in anti-Asian hate that we have seen not only in New York, but across the country. And so it is with some bittersweet emotion that I talk about that, especially when the memory of the vicious killing of Michelle Go and the tragic passing away of Yaopan Ma from his injuries several months ago. These are two of the most vivid cases of violence that still ring very, very loudly in the ears and the minds of Asian Americans throughout New York. But on the other hand, we are ringing in the new year. Today is New Year's Day of the Asian lunar calendar. It is the year of the tiger. The tiger symbolizes strength, resiliency, both qualities of which we will need in order to emerge from this crisis. We hope the year of the tiger will bring us back as close to normal as we possibly can get. And I thank Senator Kavanaugh for introducing this resolution, which I support wholeheartedly. I wish all of you great success in the year of the tiger. If you are in a position to get red envelopes from your relatives, then congratulations. If you are in a position to give red envelopes, make sure you give lots and lots of red envelopes. With that, Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to speak about the Asian Lunar New Year and the Year of the Tiger.
The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Okay, and now let's move to Resolution 1779 by Leader Stuart Cousins. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Parker on that resolution, please.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 1779 by Senator Stuart Cousins, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim February 2022 as Black History Month in the state of New York.
Senator Parker on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to celebrate today, February 1st, 2022, as the beginning of Black History Month. And we understand Black History Month not simply as 28 days in which we think about the achievements and the history of African Americans, but really a jumping off point that really begins 365 days of studying both not just African American history, but American history. This holiday was created by Carter G. Woodson in the 1920s, originally as Negro History Week, and actually was picked the second week in February because it was the birthday of Frederick Douglass and Lincoln, and so that began this understanding of who African Americans are and the achievements that they've given to this country. It was critical in that moment because it didn't exist prior to that, right? And so, like now, in this moment, we are surrounded by Black leaders and see Black contributions to culture and all kinds of human endeavor every moment. But we go back to the really 100 years ago, that was not the case. The common and dominant narrative was that African Americans had arrived on the shores of America in 1619, tabula rasa, right? Fancy words for blank slates. That they had not contributed to the culture of the world or this country. That they did not have any history of their own. That they had no rights and no humanity that whites were bound to respect legally or morally in this country. And so the act that Carter G. Woodson did in that time was revolutionary. To say that, in fact, people of African descent in this country did have a history, did have a culture, did have achievement that they gave not just here, but to the world. And so the first thing to understand when you start studying African American history is that the history of African people did not begin in 1619 in Virginia, but you have to go back to the continent of Africa. And then when you start looking, it is that the history of African people is the history of humanity. That when you look at the very first people, when they go and they find, Australopithecus picus, it is on the continent of Africa. Why they named her Alice? Probably was not Alice, but, but that history begins there with the Khoisan people, right? And then moves up, actually moves down north because African people see the map in the opposite direction. They move down north and say that we are the people who came from the valley beneath the mountain of the moon, which is Kilimanjaro. They continue to move down north and build the civilizations of Nubia. And then that Nubian civilization builds a colony called Kemet that we often hear as ancient Egypt. That means I've talked already too long. And so, and I'm only in Egypt. This is how important it is, and then, and so I could go on all day, and I can, talking about the ancient, not the country now, but the ancient civilization of Ghana, the ancient civilization of Mali, the ancient civilization of Timbuktu, all of which contribute to world history even before America is even born. And so as African people are illicitly stolen out of Africa and brought here, they are systematically stripped from their culture, stripped from their history, stripped from their dignity, stripped from their humanity. And what Carter G. Woodson did is work hard to have us start re-remembering who we are as people. And that was important for African people, but also was important for the whole society. And so we remember in this moment, people like Denmark Vesey and Gabriel Prosser and Nat Turner, who are early abolitionists, right? People like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, of course, Frederick Douglass. But there's no aspect of human endeavor that African people have not been engaged in. And so you have people from Maya Angelou to Amanda Gorman. You have in literature, you have scientists like George Washington Carver to Dr. Kamika Corbett, right, in science. You have great scholars who think about all of the important aspects and provide intellectual context. Everybody from W.B. Du Bois to people like Dr. Derek Hamilton right here at the New School. You have, in the fields of law, and I know we have two great jurists leading our respective conferences here, and next to them, the deputies. No, but we have great jurists in our history like Thurgood Marshall, and everybody from him to Benjamin Crump. In the area of sports, we can go on from people like Jesse Owens to Simone Biles, and we can go from Leontine Price in music to Beyonce. And certainly, let's not forget in the area of fashion, in which I've dressed up very dapperly at the request of the leader. And we remember people like Andre Talley and people like Dapper Dan. And so this month, let us take time and understand that this history is not just the history of African Americans, but it is the history of our state and of our country, because it is the fight for civil rights here in America that inspired things like the fight for civil rights in places like Ireland, where you see Dr. King and Jesse Jackson being influential figures in the fight for Irish independence. You'll see people, for instance, in the gay community, that the whole movement begins at Stonewall, which people don't know was a bar for black gays and trans, right? You see the women's movement being influenced by Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and other black women who were, at the time, not just fighting for racial justice, but also fighting for the justice for women. And so in every place that we turn, we see the impact of African American history on America and the fight for equity and equality in America. And so I thank the leader for giving me this opportunity to speak on her behalf today. I look forward to the rest of the month as we continue to raise the voice and remember the life and the legacies of those who have given so much to our great state and our country. And I ask us all to remember that we are the people who were here the day before yesterday, and we're going to be the people who are going to be here the day after tomorrow. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
Can we now take up the calendar, please? President, at the request of the sponsors, the resolutions we took up today are open for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor of the resolution, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
And now let's take up the reading of the calendar.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 170, Assembly number 8728 by Assemblymember Cusick, an act to amend the chapter of the law of 2021. Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 182, Assembly number 8758 by Assemblymember Santa Barbara, an act to amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the law of 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 189, Senate Print 7827 by Senator Kaminsky, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the law of 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 203, Assembly number 8710 by Assemblymember Gunther, an act to amend the chapter of the law of 2021.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 244, Senate Print 3408 by Senator Brooke, an act to establish a Black Youth Suicide Prevention Task Force.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect on the 60th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 247, Senate Print 694 by Senator Kaplan, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 259, Senate Print 3468A by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect April 1st, 2022.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Kennedy to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to support this legislation that will create the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice in New York State, with the goal of improving opportunities and outcomes for all people in our state. The Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice will serve as the official state planning and coordinating office for changes in policy, practice, and allocation of state resources so that race or social constructs don't predict an individual's success. Local jurisdictions such as Kings County, Washington, and Montgomery County, Maryland, have already established offices focused on equity and social justice, but New York, with the passage of this legislation, will be the first state in the nation to create such an office. With this legislation, we're putting the state of New York at the forefront of addressing systemic racism, inequality, and disparities nationwide. This office will help us as policymakers fight against institutionalized racism and biases and help create a more equitable state for everyone in New York, regardless of their race, gender, age, ethnicity, religious background, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. This office will help all departments and agencies create a more inclusive policy and procedure and will ensure all state employees are educated about the values and equity and social justice. I'm proud to carry this legislation alongside our historic Assembly Majority Leader, my friend, Crystal Peoples-Stokes. I want to give special thanks to Hazel Dukes, the president of the New York State chapter of the NAACP, for her support of this legislation and tireless advocacy for equity and social justice. And finally, I want to thank another historic figure in this chamber. That's Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins for bringing this bill to the floor here today, and her commitment, as well as all of our colleagues' commitment, to providing opportunities for all people in our state, regardless of where they come from and what they look like. Creating an Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice demonstrates our commitment to our values and reaffirms who we are as New Yorkers, Madam President. And with that, I vote aye, and I urge all of our colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Senator Kennedy to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 259, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Barillo, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberecker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 43, nays 20.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 287, Senate Print 7795 by Senator Kavanaugh, an act to amend the General Obligations Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the law of 2022.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 288, Senate Print 7821 by Senator Salazar, an act to amend the executive law in the chapter of the law of 2021.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 288, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 45, nays 18.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 289, Senate Print 7824 by Senator Biaggi, enactment of the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 6, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 290, Senate Print 7828 by Senator Thomas, enactment of the chapter of the laws of 2021.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 290, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar and O'Mara. Ayes 61, nays 2.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 293, Assembly number 8829 by Assemblymember Burdick, enactment of the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 293, voted in the negative, Senator Ort. Ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 295, Senate Print 7844 by Senator Reichman Melnick, enactment of the tax law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 297, Assembly number 8773 by Assemblymember Abenati, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 298, Assembly number 8751 by Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 299, Senate Print 7885 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 299, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 43, nays 20.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 302, Assembly number 8826 by Assemblymember Burdick, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 302, voted in the negative, Senator Helming. Ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 303, Assembly number 8746 by Assemblymember Galliff, enactment of the General Business Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws 2021.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to Calendar 303, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, Ritchie, and Steck. Ayes 50, nays 13.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 326, Senate Print 571 by Senator Sanders, enactment of the Urban Development Corporation Act.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall have become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 328, Senate Print 3263 by Senator Comrie, enactment of the Public Authorities Law and the Economic Development Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Let's take up the controversial calendar now, Madam President.
The Secretary will ring the bell. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 295, Senate Print 7844 by Senator Reichman Melnick, enactment of the tax law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Madam President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that Senator Oberacker be recognized and heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Madam President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that Senator Oberacker be recognized.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Oberacker may be heard.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because the bill at hand relates to the creation of a firearm violence research fund, which would fund grants to research gun violence and to find solutions to this problem and improve public safety. Let me save you some time and some money. Pass my amendment and repeal the dangerous bail and discovery reform. That's how we reduce violent crime and protect New Yorkers. So let's look at the facts. In 2020, when the bail reform went into law, gun violence outside of New York City rose nearly 30%. And the murder rate statewide has jumped to nearly 50%. Criminals have no fear. Our law-abiding citizens are the ones that are not safe to walk the streets. Repeat offenders charged with burglary, robbery, and drug dealing are set free without bail, and the judges have no choice. In fact, when violent criminals are arrested, judges are prohibited from considering the dangers they pose to our communities. So I ask you, where is the justice? Add in discovery reforms requiring the disclosure of the identity and contact information of victims and witnesses. Criminals are free to call up a witness or a victim and intimidate these innocent individuals who we should be protecting. Many witnesses are now unwilling to cooperate with the law enforcement, and really, who can blame them? Criminals have all the power. If we want to reduce gun violence and make the people of New York safer, then we must repeal these dangerous policies and stop putting the interest of criminals above the interests of victims and the public. And it's for these reasons, Madam President, I strongly urge you to reconsider your ruling. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I want to remind the House the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Madam President, we've agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the result.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 3, this action will take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws 2021.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 295, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Hellman, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 46, nays 17.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Can we please notify the members immediately upon adjournment of this session, there will be a meeting of the Internet and Technology Committee virtually on everyone's computers.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Technology Committee after the adjournment of Senate.
I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, February 2nd at 3 p.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, February 2nd at 3 p.m.